You played anything else? Anything good? Anything
Yeah,
shit?
I played a good game. It's the last of the major games I've played this month, and it's extremely recently released. If we go back, the games I've talked about today, Fast and Furious came out the 23rd of October. Lumines came out on the 11th of November, and this game came out the 19th of November. So we're talking just 10 days ago, essentially, at point of recording. This is the wonderful kind of tactics RPG called Demonschool.
I have no idea what this is. Tell me about it.
I'm going to tell you. Now, I've followed the development of this game for a long time by way of being a weekly listener to the Insert Credit podcast. And I think I've mentioned the podcast before in passing. It's one of the only things I bother to keep up with anymore because it's got a format that ensures it never drags. Like, it's a panel answering video game related questions. They've got roughly 6 minutes per question or topic, and then it moves on. So it's very brisk. And the panel all work within the video games industry. So they are kind of industry experts. I guess you could say it's not just like me and you being Joe averages. They do have games jobs. And one of the panel is
I bet we know more than them.
maybe, and one of the show's panel is someone called Brandon Sheffield, who is the director and lead writer for Necrosoft Games, who are the team behind Demonschool. And as a result of this, I've essentially earwigged on the trials and tribulations of this project for like 4 years at this point. Right up until its very recent release date having to be moved due to it essentially coming out at the same time as Silksong when that was announced. And listening to him talk about that was really quite upsetting because it was like, we've had this date for so long. This has come out of nowhere. And even though they are not related games, there's no real crossover. If we miss our moment to potentially be flavor of the month, we're done. Like the studio will not survive that. We have to move it. And it meant that Demonschool came out, like I said, on the 19th of November, not that long ago. Finally out in the wild, this game, in its early hours at least, has just been an absolute slam dunk for me. Hitting particularly hard, I think, because I've listened to this show for so long, it's impossible not to see Brandon Sheffield's directorial fingerprints all over the final product. And it's quite a strange experience to have essentially had a very constant passive insight into a game that, whilst of course being the product of a wider team, it's not made by just one guy, but it represents so neatly the tastes and gaming predilections of him as an individual, for having listened to him talk for hundreds of hours at this point. Through the questions that I've listened to on Insert Credit, I've heard Brandon talk about his favourite game controllers. I've talked about what games he believes best expose and obfuscate technical details like damage multipliers. I've heard him talk about how hit stun can be implemented effectively and not effectively. I've heard about why he loves the Sega Saturn. I've heard him talk about how he believes fighting games best characterize their cast, even though you're not kind of like experiencing story scenes. And having all this sort of knowledge about every aspect of someone's taste and design philosophy has made playing Demonschool feel similar to when I'd go and watch like a friend's band as a teenager, knowing that, I knew all of their influences. I knew their past projects, what they'd done before. I knew the other kind of wider media they were into and kind of inspired by. And it's been really humbling because it again highlights, as I said a few times in the show, games are always products of people. And when you feel a bit closer to the person that's making them, it really does change your relationship with the product at the end of it as well. The game setup has you as a new university student called Faye, traveling to a strange island for school, for university, as it were, inspired by a series of writings that have been passed down through her family that appear to suggest an imminent demonic uprising, and driven by the belief that the island may host its own demonic activity. Faye hops aboard a ship and, with the help of a crew of other students that she enlists, looks to unravel the mysteries of the world. That's kind of your story setup. The game bounces between phases of soft single-screen exploration, with you controlling Faye in small like isometric scenes. It's got more extended visual novel style dialogue in between bits as well. It's got kind of soft relationship management, a bit like a Persona game. And then it's got these really intense puzzle box tactics battles. And the battles are the real star of the show. Although I assume it has also been inspired by games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea or Tactics Ogre or anything like that, it keeps things much more compact. So the battles always take place across a smaller grid, fits on one screen. You don't have to scroll anywhere or anything like that. The characters you use as well remain a fixed level throughout your playthrough. There's no leveling up of the character. So their numbers, like hit points, are always very small. Your buffs and debuffs are like single digits. And the USP comes from the way that battles are then split between planning and execution. So you've got like a huge amount of control over what is going on to essentially always have the perfect plan before you send it into execution. So in planning, you move your characters around. You've got a shared pool of action points between up to 4 characters you're controlling. And the attacks and movements all start quite cheap. So it might just cost a single point to move or attack for the first time. If you want to use that character again in the same phase of play, it costs 2 points, again, 3 points, etc., etc. So you've got to think about how do you get the most out of every turn. And the trick becomes how best to kind of utilize each party member to complete any objectives you might be working towards, just squeezing as much juice as possible from the orange of the planning phase kind of thing, before then pressing go and watching everyone jump into action in real time, which is acted out with these kind of brilliantly telegraphed little moves in a smooth sequence. It's just really, really good. You know, it's like setting up the classic Rube Goldberg machine and then watching the interactions play out like a domino run.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even write this. The reason I love it, it's like Grindstone. You're essentially like you're building your path through a stage, but kind
Yeah.
of with much more overlapping characters and stuff to do. But the reason I think that I love it so much, that's just clicked that moment. Grindstone, every single move, it was like, I can get one more. I reckon I can get one. There's got to be a way I can get one more. And playing Demonschool, I play the battles in the same way. It's like, well, I've taken out 4 enemies. Could I have had 5? Is there a way I could kind of move it around? Can I do something different? They're just really addictive. And although it's not required, every battle is ranked, so you can have up to kind of 3 stars or 3 badges in this game. If you keep everyone alive and you dispatch a set number of enemies by a set turn, you get the full 3 badges. With those, you can kind of eventually learn new moves or alter your character builds a little bit. If you lose a character or if you exceed the turn goal, you start to lose your rank. And there is no punishment here at all. Like, you could cruise through and just do every battle bare minimum, doesn't matter. But I've played it for about 7 hours now. I have not allowed myself to get anything other than full marks at any time, because it's like I get to the end of a battle, it says, oh yeah, 2 stars kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, but I know I could have had 3. I could have had 3, and it was fun to try and work out how I could get 3. So I'll just do it again. And it's making everything take way longer than it should. But it's all in pursuit of fun. You know, if this was in real time or traditionally turn-based, I would not be bothering. And I've mentioned a few times when I've tried to play like a kind of like a strategy RPG, I start, and as soon as the battlefield gets bigger and I've got more stuff to manage, I just lose sight of what's going on. I can't balance all that in my head. But here, because you essentially can see exactly what's going to happen before you execute it, you have so much influence over the whole field. I can't help but try and play them all perfectly. It's incredibly fun to get right. And when you kind of suddenly think, oh, but if I had used that character there, that would shift that enemy to there, and then I could go through 2 instead of 1 with that character. It's like it just falls together really, really nicely. The game has some of the most superb art and music direction I've seen and heard as well. Like, it looks like it's running on a souped up Sega Saturn. You can really feel that influence there, because it's got this beautiful mix of really nice pixel art and then blocky polygons. And the character art then in conversations is bold and expressive. The general UI and menu design is all like really excellent, really snappy, really visually kind of arresting and exciting. And it's just a spectacular looking game. The music as well, an hour into play, I was already Googling vinyl release when. Like, it doesn't have one on the cards, but I'm sure it will, because it's that sort of release. And the music works similarly to games like Banjo-Kazooie, or if you go back to Monkey Island 2, if you want the real progenitor, where instruments will layer or phase in and out depending on what's happening. So as you're doing your planning and then execution, it's the same song, but it, like, you know, swells and pulls back when you're fighting to when you're planning. Just really, really nice. You know, essentially just shifting dynamically. Does the same thing as well when you're moving from location to location on the world map. It's again the same song, but with just subtle variations when you're in an outside place or inside a classroom or whatever. And it all just runs seamlessly. Really, really nice. Doesn't skip a beat. The writing as well is really good. It probably won't work for everyone. It's like kind of knowingly goofy, but I've really enjoyed the gradual characterization of each party member. The kind of the wider NPC flavor text as well is really nice. Like, as your days progress, you can endlessly revisit the locations, these kind of single screen little spaces, and you pick up side quests or do mini games, further plot progression, that kind of thing. But every single time you'll find crowds of kind of NPCs in the background that will always have a little bit of new dialogue. And it's often just throwaway stuff. So it's like kind of Pokemon's infamous, hi, I like shorts, kid. It's often like that kind of level, but it gives the world a lot of flavor because it's not just the same line. You kind of start to see even these nobody characters have a little bit of their own personality. because even if they're just a silly archetype that's like, oh, I love dogs, so every time I'll say something about a dog, you want to know what they're going to say about a dog each time. You'll see sometimes like,
honestly, that's the only person I'd ever want to talk to.
Yeah. And sometimes it might be a bit big, and you'll see like a student in the school kind of clearly forming a crush on another one of the NPCs and it building kind of scene to scene. Or you'll see kind of other people either like unhappy about their jobs, and then the next scene it's like they're thinking about quitting, and the next scene they're doing something. It's just little bits that further these little micro stories. Now, I appreciate not everyone is going to come to a game like this with this almost parasocial appreciation like I have done. It definitely changes something. But I really do believe that the highs...
Was parasocial a working title for Demonschool?
It could have been. But I really do believe that the highs of Demonschool would have hit for me regardless, even if I didn't know who was behind it, because it just plays to my taste incredibly well. Like, I made Georgia stop playing The Sims the other day when she was sat next to me to admire the Playdate style sort of pixel dithering that we used on a screen transition. And I was just pointing out and saying, like, look how good it looks. Look how well they've considered just that edge of a border. It's just such a visually nice thing to see. I sent her a video.
What did she say?
She was like, yes.
Enter me right now.
Absolutely. Best aphrodisiac is pixel dithering.
Trow now.
Yeah,
dow.
I mean, I sent her a video of the little animation the game uses when you pet a dog when she was at work, just to say, look at the dog. And when I was on my own,
what did she say?
She was like, it's a dog.
That's why you should send that sort of stuff to me.
Yeah, I will do next time.
I wouldn't say enter me.
Drive to Barry now.
Drive to Barry now. This is a really good dog. That is a good boy.
But it sounded like, even like taking Georgia out of the picture, like I left the game running the other day whilst I was cooking dinner just because I wanted to hear the music loop. Like nice. It just is doing everything I want it to. It's like a delicious package tethered to a really brilliant battle system at its core as well. Just really, really good. Like, I'm still pretty early on in the game at the moment. I've just passed the first boss and a bit, and I've played like a few days into the next in-game week, but I'm just desperate to play more. It's very easy to consume in little chunks as well. Like, perfect for me. I don't want to sit and play a game for 5 hours, but 20 minutes, I can do a battle, I can further the story, I can put it down, come back the next day. It's perfect. Like, Demonschool is demon cool. Like, big fan. Big fan. And again, another one that genuinely I think is in my potential list for the end of the year if I keep playing and
absolutely
keep enjoying.
Mad. Yeah. It looks lovely. I had a look at the art, and like you said, it looks like it's
on the
got
Switch.
And I unknowingly, Nora likes to put stickers on everything, and she's turned my Switch 2 into a Saturn.
There we are. There we go. Sega Saturn.
So I left it on there.
Yeah.
So there we go. Portugal.